want to share something with you. That might put me in a very negative light, yeah.
Relationships are not my forte.
See if someone grabbed up my wife or something, completely different ballgame.
I'll walk away from here, and this has been like a therapy session.
Welcome to the BT Sports studio, where today we have a special press conference. As you may have seen last week, the news, it went all over social media. Queensbury have signed this man to my left, Moses Itauma. Of course, Carol Itauma, already a member of the roster, 18 years old with a youth career that you will not see very often. People were very, very excited to see that he's turned pro at just 18 years old. And what a year you had leading up to it, Moses. At youth level, he's won gold at the World Championships, European, and manager Francis Warren. I'll start with you to give him a bit of hype.
A bit of hype, my heart required. But you know, I mean, obviously it's an absolute, you know, privilege to be managing Moses and Carol. But you know, I mean, we'll start with Moses. Obviously, he's had a fantastic year, which is, you know, the pinnacle of what has been a great amateur career. I think he finished on 24 fights. He's had 5 knockout wins in his last 7 amateur fights. So, you know, it's been quite tough, I think, you know, as an amateur to get fights. And actually, it's proven quite similar in the pro rank. To be honest, you know, everyone knows about this guy, and you know, he's going to set the world on fire. He's going to make his debut on the 28th of January. On the same card as Carol, who's fighting the fight for his first title, the fight for the WBC International. And you know, it's the start of a very, very exciting journey. He's set himself quite a high target, but I'll let him. I'll let Moses, you know, tell the world what his ambition is. And all I can say is that it's very impressive that this young man has got such high hopes for himself and high ambitions. There's no, you know, he's not putting any obstacles in his way. He's very focused on what he wants to do in this sport, and with the support of Queensbury, my dad, George, my brother, and myself as manager. Obviously, he's got a great team with Dan Willich, and you know, and the guys around him, and you know, his brother supports him passionately. I know that we had a good chat on Friday about some of his backstory. Carol's been instrumental in getting him boxing. But you know, he's got an ambition, and hopefully, I know we're the team to be behind him to help him fulfil it.
So Moses, you only turned 18 2 weeks ago, 29th of December. This must all have been a bit of a whirlwind for you this last year or so.
Yeah, 100%. So obviously I came off not boxing for 2 years because of obviously COVID, and then having the most amount of fights I've ever had, like in a year. It's just been crazy, and then obviously this new signing, it makes it even better.
Francis mentioned there, you sometimes had a bit of trouble getting fights on the amateurs.
Yeah, 100%.
And you're expecting that to be the same in the pros?
No, obviously in the amateurs, you kind of like get told you're boxing like 2 days before you're boxing. Obviously it's going to be a bit different with the pros because you get to have a camp, and you get told like a couple of weeks before. But yeah, no, hopefully the pro game ain't as unbusy as the amateur game.
Well, yeah, I think Francis alluded to it there. Big plans for this year, right? How many fights are you intending to have?
Around 8.
8 fights a year. Is that realistic, Francis?
We're obviously, Moses has set himself a target. We've agreed that 8 fights is the magic number for this year, and it's about making sure that we're matching properly, matching correctly. It's the oldest adage of boxing: right fights at the right time. And I'm going to say it every time and time again because it's such a true statement. There's not been, you know, no slip-ups. Everything's calculated. Everything's targeted towards a long-term ambition. But yeah, I mean, he wants to stay busy. 8 fights this year. I'm sure we can do it.
Moses, were you always targeting the pros as soon as possible?
No, not really. I never really. When I was younger, I never had no goals and ambitions to become a European gold medalist or amateur world champion, or even now, like in the pro game, I want to conquer the pros. I never really had that ambition for that because I was just coming down my local gym, St Mary's, just to have a crack. It was nice fun. being around the boys, it was like we used to come up training 2 hours before training actually started. But and then I just started getting good at it, and then just all of this like just came.
Yeah, just started getting good. A bit of an understatement, I think. Carol, when did you notice that Moses was becoming pretty special?
It was crazy because obviously I think he started at 9. Started boxing at 9, and then he kind of started training, had the first few fights, and he won the nationals. And I think like that's when it kind of started firing up. But I remember him in his first fight back at 57 kilo. He literally, I was with him running, and yeah, he's double that. But even at his first fight, you saw that the movement, you saw the changing angles and stuff like that. Like people don't change angles in the first fight; they just stand there throwing punches. But he's always changing angles, punch variation, stuff like that. So actually, from the first fight, you saw that there was something there.
Did you, as the wily old veteran on stage at 22 years old, did you have to put an arm around him and kind of lead him in the right direction? You're saying you didn't really realise how good he was.
No, I don't like to use the term lead because I believe he's his own individual. He's creating his own path. He's got his own goals, ambitions, his own stuff in his head. So I wouldn't say lead him, but if there was a word I could use, it'd probably be something like guide or help him with something. He knows that I'm always there if he needs to get advice on something, because as an amateur I kind of went through the whole process that he did, the internationals, the youth Olympics and all that stuff, that scene. And now as a pro, it's like I'm a step ahead. But I don't mean that in a negative way or something like that, but I mean it in a way where I can kind of show him or tell him about the process of it all, because it's a lot easier when you kind of know what the process is.
Moses, how much of an influence do you think your brother's had on you?
Oh, 100% has been a big influence. Like, he's the one that got me into boxing in the first place. And over COVID, he's the one that made me stay in boxing as well.
Why is that? Were you lazy during COVID?
Yeah, very lazy. He actually, I was just on the PlayStation and
Unforgivable, who would do that, right?
and he told me, go out, do your runs, do some push-ups, just do like anything. Like, you ain't got to do the most, but just do anything. And then, yeah, he kept me in boxing, and he's definitely been a big influence. Without him, I definitely would not be here.
And seeing how well the start of Carol's pro career has gone, 9 wins, 7 knockouts, fighting for first pro title on the 28th as well, the WBC International. Seeing that, does that kind of inspire you to think, okay, this is what I want these kind of nights?
Yeah, 100%. Me and him were in the same boat. We both got the same scenario, so he can do his thing. Like obviously he won Youth Olympic goals as an amateur, and now he's going on to the pros, and I'm just trying to follow that.
Big night for the family as well. I don't think you've ever boxed on the same card before,
Never.
have you? What a time to do it.
Literally, our whole boxing career was boxing. We've never boxed on the same night, let alone the same place. So it's going to be a huge night for us both. Obviously his debut, my first title fight, and it's one to remember for sure.
You're still older brother though, so you get the better space in the change room, don't you?
I don't even know what the sound is.
No, but like, me and him been boxing, and let alone sparring on the same day, it was difficult, but having a fight, whereas my pro debut and his first title fight, as big as that is, like, I can't ask for anything more.
But it's crazy because I spoke to Devon earlier about it, and with them two things comes emotions. Like when he box, I get a little something, and then when I box, it's feelings. But to have them both on the same night, it's gonna be something new. But obviously not the first for sure.
Francis, signing Moses, there was so much talk in the boxing world about him before he turned pro. I think if you go on YouTube and search his name, you'll find a few devastating knockouts. And people were so excited to see that he'd been signed. And obviously with Queensbury and BT Sport, a big network. Was there a lot of competition, a lot of people trying to sign for themselves?
I think a lot of people talk a good game, and you know, as his manager, obviously I invited people to come and have a chat. But I think sometimes other promoters probably realise that certain fighters belong with a certain promoter or a certain TV station. I think that Queensbury are going to do a job for Moses that I don't think anybody else could, and that is guiding him through the ranks. And we're going to get to that record in a minute, and getting to a certain point where he's going to be challenging for certain titles at a certain time. I think that Queensbury, I think it's the only place for him to have been, and made a terrific offer. And without blowing my own trumpet, I think the relationship Carol and I have had with so far in his career, I think Moses obviously seen that and thought, I'd like to get in on that act. It's been very smooth sailing with Carol and I regarding his with his career thus far, and sort of towards. I don't think Moses and I really had much of a conversation until after he'd won his World Youth title, and I mentioned about should we get you both on the same card for your debut, and there was a big smile from both guys. So it's about delivering what you promise and focusing on what the guys want out of their careers, and I firmly believe that Queensbury, BT, and myself as the manager is a great move for him.
Moses, do you want to elaborate on what that record is that you're chasing down?
Well, I wanna become the youngest ever world champion. I wanna beat my Tyson record at 20 years, 4 months and 22 days.
Easy, right? No ambition at all here. But pushing yourself against the best. A lot of the talk about you is of course the people you've sparred with. I saw a reply to an interview you did the other day from Lawrence Okoli saying at 15 years old. You gave him 3 of the hardest spars he's ever had, and he was learning tips from you. Who else have you been in with?
I sparred Joe Joyce, Lewis Coley, Anthony Joshua. I sparred like the heavyweights that I'm seeing right now. Sometimes more time I've held my own, and even sometimes I've came on top of the spar. So I'm very confident in my ability, and I was going to see the difference between the pros to the amateurs.
He's humble as well. That's what I've heard. There's a lot different to that.
It's when you say confident in your ability, of course you are, but there's a difference in being confident in your ability and then I'm going to break Mike Tyson's record. When did your sort of confidence cross the line between being I'm very good to I'm going to be the best?
I want to be part of history. It's therefore, if boxing's done and dealt with, I want my names to be in there amongst their names. So it's a thing I'm chasing down. It's just in my subconscious. Like there ain't gonna be no Mike Tyson record if I don't get through my pro debut. So I'm always thinking about the next fight. It's I'm just my pro debuts first, and then comes the second fight, third fight, fourth fight, and so on and so on. But the goal I'm aiming for is the Mike Tyson record, but that's the long term.
First fight at Wembley Arena as well. What place to do it?
No, it's a blessing.
What are your sort of immediate plans? I know that doesn't give you very long to get to that record, but with 8 fights a year, just where do you see yourself, for example, in 6 months? Do you see yourself already fighting for sort of title levels, British titles, or are you just going to kind of listen to France and take it?
You can't box for a British title until the 20s, so obviously that's going to be
that, yeah.
So that's out the picture, but step ups, minuscule step ups. I think that's down to Francis, obviously my manager, and he sorted that out, informed me, and then I just turned up with me and Dan Willis, and get the fight happening. But I let all the stuff that's out of the ring, that's out of my control, in Francis's hands.
Speaking of titles, Carol, I mentioned it earlier, the WBC international title you're fighting for on the 28th. A big step in moving your career forward. How excited are you for that fight?
Yeah, I'm very excited. Obviously, when we look at the bigger picture, I made my debut December 2020, and fast forward to today, we're literally like 18, 19 days away from our first title, so it is exciting, and I'm looking forward to it.
And Francis, do we have any names yet?
We've got an opponent in from Argentina, Moderna. He's 28-10. He's got 18 knockouts, so You'll have to, be on top game, top form. But the thing is with Carroll, he's such a consummate professional that, whether it was 4-rounder in the start of his career to his first title fight, he's on his A game. I think the last fight he had at Tottenham's ground on Tyson Fury's undercard was perfect preparation for that. Did 8 tough rounds and then, turned it on, got rid of the guy, and I think it was great preparation for his first 10-rounder.
And Carol, there's talk of record title chases. How do you place yourself in that? What's your sort of next 6-12 months looking like?
So obviously we got a title on the 28th, and from then on is them incremental improvements, step ups in class. What's going to happen at the end of this year? Are we going to get another title or something like that? I'm not too sure. However, like I said, external things get left to my manager, and I'm sure we are gonna climb the ranks.
Just 22 years old as well, another incredible prospect, but someone who we've seen, like you said, since December 2020, we've seen on BT Sport a number of times now. What sort of timescale do you give Carroll for his sort of ascent to the top tier of the sport?
Well, I think, it's, as Carroll just said, it's just, every fight's got to be a slight step up, slight step up, slight step up. And the BC Internationals became available, and I was back at both hands, so I know he's capable of making that step up now. A couple of defences of that, and see where we sit with the British rankings towards the end of the year, because I think British and Commonwealth titles are ones that we'd like to pick up, ones that you'd like to look back on your career and say, yeah, I won those. So yeah, that's what I mean. I know Dan Azizi's flying high at the moment. He's got British, Commonwealth and European, so we'll see what happens with those titles towards the end of the year. And but in the meantime, we're not focused on anyone else. We're looking towards just making sure that Carroll gets his education, preparation, and fight night experiences to the highest level. And just step by step. But we're very excited. One interesting one. By the time Rick has done his second year, and he's 60, if he has those 8 fights, he'll be 16-0. You'll be 17-0, so he'll be one behind you.
Wow.
So yeah, so that's these guys are they're probably the easiest guys to work with because they're so dedicated and so focused on what they want to do and what they want to achieve, and very different characters, and very different career paths, but they support and help they give each other's fantastic, and very, very excited for the journey with them. Very excited.
Do you reckon it'll ever get competitive between you two? Who's got the most wins?
I think it's always been competitive, but it's a positive competition. Like it's one that pushes us on. It's never negative, and I think that's important. Like you need that.
And is there any talk of that kind of dream night happening a few years in the future? Both of you at world level, big stadium. Does that ever get talked about in the family?
What do you mean?
Well,
Both fighting
for a world title, same night, same card, big crowd.
No, that would be crazy. It's never been a comparison with me and my brother.
Not fighting each other.
No, that's what I mean. That's what you asked. Yeah. There's never been any comparison though. We've had, although we're on the same path, we did have different roads, and like he came into boxing quite late. I came into boxing quite young, completely different way. And what I admire from my brother is the work rate. Like I live with him, and it is non-stop training, and then like I'm kind of just trying to follow on behind him, but. I think it's good because every time I'm feeling lazy, there's been so many mornings where he's woke me up, we're going for a run, and then I'm just like, no, allow it, and then he's got me out of bed going running. So it's definitely a healthy relationship between me and my brother, and can't wait to see what the future holds.
But leading on to Phil, like trying to answer your question is we haven't spoken about it. But it's like things like this, so for example, they just happen. We just got to stay in our own path, stay in our own lanes, keep our head down, work, and then, like 28th, we're boxing on the same night. And, down the line for sure we will. We're boxing for titles on the same card and headlining.
Amazing. Well, There you go. I know there's lots of press and media who want to speak to you both today, but the first special night for these two is the 28th of January on the undercard of Artur Beterbiev versus Anthony Yard. There are tickets starting from £50 on AXS.com and Ticketmaster, and of course that's going to be available for all subscribers of BT Sport. Thank you.
I'm going to share something with you. That might put me in a very negative light, yeah.
Relationships are not my forte.
See if someone grabbed up my wife or something completely different ballgame.
I'll walk away from it, and this has been like a therapy session.